brand is the value that we deliver to another human being. It's an experience, it's an emotion, it's a functional benefit. There's a lot of ways to bring that to life through marketing, but brand is the DNA of the company. It's the mission, it's the vision, it's how are we going to meet the need of a customer, their challenge, their pain point, and not just meet it, but do it differently and more uniquely than anybody else.
Welcome back to The Rise. I am very excited to have our incredible guest here today, RachelBLee. And I'm just going to tell you now, you want to tune in, grab a pen and pencil or pen and paper, because we are going to answer brand questions today. Brand is one of the most misunderstood and almost mysterious elements of thought leadership. And we're going to get into it because Rachel and her husband, Josh, are experts in this. They know how to build a brand. They can explain more about what brand is. We're going to be talking with Rachel about the work, especially building a brand on LinkedIn. Questions like, do you have a personal brand, a company brand? All things brand. That's what we're going to get into. But I also just want to say, Rachel and I met a number of months ago, earlier this year in New York City at a book event for a colleague and friend of ours, Selena Sue. And it's just a testament to going to things in person because, yeah, we can hear about people, and Rachel and Josh's work is known in the industry. They're known as brand builders, but that's different than sitting in a room with someone for a few days and saying, "Oh my gosh, I love this person. I love the energy here. There's synergy, there's connection." And I'm so excited that we finally get to have Rachel on the podcast. So first, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Feeling is completely mutual.
It's so fun. We're doing a little on each other's, podcast, little fun day today. So Rachel, I get asked questions about brand all the time. Obviously, this is what you do with people. You help people who are thought leaders or becoming thought leaders to develop their brand, whether it's on social media in general. You guys obviously have really incredible paradigms and processes, all kinds of things. And we're going to get into even the mission, the bigger mission and movement with your work as well. But let's start with some basics that I know I get asked, and you can tell me, what people ask you all the time. But one of the things that I think confuses people so much is what does brand really mean to you? And I know Chris Do has his answer, you might have your answer, but when you think about what is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it messaging? Is it our logo? I think it's not understood very well. Do you find that? Do people feel almost unclear on what it even is when they come work with you?
Yes. Yeah,
And yes. Yes.
and if you think brand is sales, then no, like we're not in the right camp yet. So yeah, I mean, to me, brand is the value that we deliver to another human being.
Mm,
That value is an experience. It's an experience, it's an emotion, it's a functional benefit. And there's a lot of ways to bring that to life through marketing. But brand is the DNA of the company. It's the mission, it's the vision, it's how are we going to meet the need of a customer, their challenge, their pain point, and not just meet it, but do it differently and more uniquely than
yeah.
anybody else.
Right. We're getting in at this point to differentiators, what makes us unique. And I think of it, I love this because it's also like how we're known, right? Because we can have the DNA and the nucleospecifics, but the core of what you and I both do is help people get known, get seen as the go-to person in the industry, make a bigger impact, scale their revenue. So the how that DNA is known and perceived, which is what you're talking about, what makes us unique, how are we doing it differently? So you want everyone to anchor in this for a minute. We're not talking about a marketing campaign. We're not talking about a tagline. That could be a piece of your brand,
Yeah.
but it's not brand capital B. So, and since everyone can remember RachelBLee, right? Brand, right? That B in there is what Rachel's about. So let's talk about some of the mistakes well, actually, let's do why brand is so important. I know why I think it is, and I didn't prioritize it at the beginning, and I didn't grow as fast as I wanted. So can you tell us just when people come to you, they know they need to do something in this area of brand. Why do you think it's important that we have a clear and empowered brand?
Yeah, listen, impressions happen really, really fast. And so people are making an impression of you as so there's, there's personal brand and company brand. We should talk about both.
Yeah.
You're getting somebody's making some perception the second they started watching this and they looked at my background, less than a second. I didn't make a sound, you didn't hear anything nonverbal. You had an impression of who I am. And then it will take maybe max 7 seconds once I start opening my mouth for you to like have this whole idea of who RachelBLee is without really knowing me or anything about me. So that's a fact. Now, it also is taking 10 to 20 times interactions with a brand for it to be remembered. That number keeps increasing
Yeah.
because we're in the digital world, right? We're not living in the 1950s where there was one circulation of a newspaper, there's one, couple main magazines, there was a billboard and only a couple news stations,
Yeah.
right? Where we knew we can reach masses. It's not the case anymore. We're in 2025. We're in a time of mass
Yes.
content saturation, overstimulation, all of it. And so good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to say, ultimately brand is the only way you're going to stand out. So I feel, I guess I've been positioning myself. You talk about differentiation and standing out and positioning pretty damn well over the last several years because it's my time. It's our time as those that know how important it is. The other piece of this, why branding, and then I think we're also need to mention this, why personal branding
Yes.
and company branding, because they're very distinct,
Mhm.
similar, but distinct. So
Yes.
I have had the great fortune of working with the biggest companies in the world. I got my MBA here at the University of Texas, McCombs School of Business, that supported me in getting a job at Microsoft and then at Gartner.
Yeah.
So multi-trillion billion dollar companies, working with companies across the globe. And what I what I learned while working with these big businesses, before that I was working on the agency side with brands like Unilever, so CPG,
Yes.
so CPG side, so tech, CPG, B2B, all these different things. And the company value proposition, which you'll learn in, like, let's say you were going to college or you would
Yeah.
sort of learn it. A P&G is like a very good tradition.
Yes.
They do very like CPG is amazing because it's kind of like a really good foundation, I think, of like, what is brand identity work?
And everybody's CPG, if you're not like in it's, consumer packaged goods, right? And
Yeah.
so packaged goods, so cereal, it's like the stuff, right? The
And
things.
like now that's to me like all the anything with like a like a ring, jewelry,
Shoes,
shoes.
shoes, bags, suitcases, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And what's amazing about, if you think about like branding and marketing as a brand like a Nike, or you think about it as product, it makes it a little easier to understand of like, well, why branding? Well, there's a whole lot of shoes out there and there's a lot of different athletes and they're going to need to choose between Adidas and Puma and da da da. So what's going to have the best function for the weightlifter or for the runner, right? Because there's a very different performance that we need, but there's still only maybe like 5, 10 max brands that make the cut.
That's
And
right.
like, is there a big difference between Nike, Adidas, Puma, Reebok, New Balance? Runners will say you got to get Asics, right? There's certain, but that's branding. So
Yes.
so branding, there is a functional benefit. There is definitely some patents and trademarks and things that these companies have established to give evidence and research into the differentiation of the performance of that product.
Yes.
That's like branding, the easiest way for people to me to understand
Yes.
because you could feel it as a consumer. This is also some of the distinction between business to consumer good
Right.
versus B2B, business to business, which we work a lot more in a business to business because we a lot of
Mm.
times are working with the people that have professional services. They're
Right.
so we're doing B2B, you and me, a lot of time, right? We're working with another business, the other entrepreneur, the other founder, whatever the case is, which makes it a different story because now when you're talking about the individual who is the business
Yes.
and it's their message, we kind of have to tweak that branding conversation and value proposition because now it's not a value proposition that's based off of the functionality of that shoe.
Right.
There's that we're not going to be like, well, she functions,
Yeah.
on terrain. Like,
Great all-terrain, can go for
right,
miles without wearing the sole out,
right.
right, yeah.
Those product features instead are my skills.
That's right.
They're my skills. They're my superpowers. They're why would you come to me? Why would you hire me?
Yeah, so
So
good.
that's the first part of when we're developing. I go through my 4 steps to building a personal brand is what are your superpower, your skills? And I mean hard skills, Sarah.
Right,
It's not like 99% of the time when I'll do workshops, people they'll say I'm really resilient,
right.
really resilient. I'm a hard worker. I'm like, that's fantastic.
I'm kind, I'm nice to people, or even, like, I'm authentic, like, people, because and those are, oh my god, those are
They're
all
amazing.
important things, but you're talking about har so I want everyone to do this, like, let's be in a little workshop today, a little brand workshop with Rachel today. So everybody watching this, write down your actual, like, the skills in the thing that you do, the hard skills. Yes, you can have your values. Those are all going to come into your brand because people do say, "Oh, I trust this bank or versus another bank," or this insurance company feels like they really care versus this one just looks like I'm a number, right? So those things are all important. But what are the skills, right? And so, Rachel, what's an example of a hard skill, just in case someone is in their head going, what does that mean?
Branding. So my superpowers are branding, marketing, and communication.
Right. Because you know how to help someone with their message, their brand. For me, it's like I can help you write a book. I have the strategy to get on a bestseller list. We have, like, here's how you get your TEDx talk picked from, the thousands of applications that they're getting. So everybody think about your skills, right? What are if you're a coach that does a particular modality, like I was trained in neurolinguistic programming, it's like that'd be a skill that we
Yes,
can do. Okay, got it.
yes, yes. Could be project management, could be
Mhm.
operations, could be finance, could be creative design,
Right?
um, engineering. Like there,
Right?
and listen, I know that Harvard Business and all of them are talking about this is so the world's changing and soft skills are really important. They are.
Sure.
But you are not going to get hired by a client or hired by a company if you don't know how to do the job they're looking for.
Right.
So one of the easiest things is to look up the job description.
Yeah. That's a
What
great hack. Okay. So everyone go to a job description. If you're, doing that kind of work in corporate or whatever, and if you're in the entrepreneur space, what you can do is actually go to other people's, sales pages. That's a great way. You could look at, like, what are they listing as deliverables, as the things that you're going to get, that they're going to do. Coaching is a hard skill if you're trained, and licensed as a coach. So, okay, I love this, Rach. So now we have to know the other three. Okay, so if we first start with our hard skills, our superpowers,
Yes.
then what do we look at next?
You look at who's your audience,
Hmm.
which is like marketing 101, right, Sarah?
Yeah,
However,
but guess what? If we don't do all
nobody
anybody
does it.
does, the best people in the world do the basics. You'll hear them talk about it. That's a huge conversation in the entrepreneur space right now. People are like, I'm just going back. And even actually, I have a friend in corporate at a big, huge, like, Fortune 1000 company. And she's like, all we're going to do this year is run the basics playbook because the world's gotten too complicated. So who do we serve? What are the hard skills we offer and who do we do them for?
Yes, that
Yep.
easy and that difficult because a lot of people, here's a little trick. A lot of people have aspirational audiences, and this is where big company branding can be beneficial because a big company, let's say like Nike, which traditionally was going after just the athletes, but then
Mhm.
they started to work with, start to partner with the NBA, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden it was like, well, wait a minute. Now all the people watching the NBA want to wear the shoes of the players.
Aspirationally. Yes.
And so now we can go into a different market, bringing those shoes or something similar.
Super cool. It's so
Well,
true.
that is not how the rest of us gets to function. The
Right.
rest of us that are small businesses like us working with dozens, maybe reaching thousands,
Right.
you know, my baby's saying hi. Um,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. So we actually have to get really, really nuanced in who we're going after. And in
Mhm.
fact, that's a big superpower for marketers right now. And so
Yes.
hack is, who are you currently working with? Who's been your best client to date? Who are the people, if you're new into like who you're like, yeah, they would for sure buy from me. They'll for sure buy the book. I know that they'll enjoy this TEDx slam dunk gonna happen. Go
Right.
after those. Well, Rachel, I don't know. I don't really want to go after those people, blah, blah. Well, I'm like, sorry. This is who we got to start with. We got to start with the bullseye, land and expand. One of the best things you could do is
Mhm.
as a marketer, land and then expand. Get
Love
your
that.
listing.
Everyone write that down. Land and expand. So
Yeah.
you're gonna land with who you're currently serving or the people you know that are looking for what you do if you're starting something new. All right. And then that's who you're gonna serve first and talk to in your messaging and build your brand around. And then you expand, right? Amazon landed on books and now sells
Everything.
rafts and God knows. So land and expand. I love that. So once we know our superpowers and who we serve, then three.
Then three is our differentiation.
Yeah.
What makes people trust me? What gives me credibility that others don't have? What's the unique expertise that I have? So things that can be part of your differentiation. Any certifications, most certainly any certifications. Um, you speak a couple languages,
Mhm.
that's cool. You are, just make sure you can hear my sound okay.
That
Yeah,
sounded real good.
okay, good. There's a lot going on here, we're momming times 10 today. Um, Certifications. So like you mentioned the coaching, right? A lot of people will get ICF certified.
Mhm.
People speak five languages. They're the first graduate, first
Yes.
generation. That's something I
Yes.
talk to a lot of the students about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that make us different that we don't realize make us different. For me, being getting my undergrad, so I have a BBA and an MBA.
Right?
Doing B2B marketing and B2C, very valuable. Being a guest lecturer, speaking on stages, like all of these pieces make RachelBLee different than other people that are doing branding and marketing. There's a lot of people that
Completely. Because think about this, there's thousands of people that do what all of us do, right? There's tons of people
exactly.
that do book coaching, tons of people that do branding, tons of people that do parenting stuff, tons of people that
Yes.
sell, dresses, like whatever it is that you're all, everyone's doing. Here's a fun way, Rachel, tell me if you have another idea for this too. Sometimes this gets really confusing for us because we just know ourselves so well. We're like, what's different about me? We don't really see it as easily or maybe value it as easily. So one of the things that I think is fun is to ask someone in your life, or ideally like 3 to 5 people who know you, and say, "What? This is weird, but I'm doing a branding exercise. My annoying coach told me to do it. Like blame Rachel and I.
Yeah.
We're just asking you to do this." And could you tell me what you find interesting and unique about me? Because other people will say stuff that you didn't even. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
even. It's like, oh, I love that
Yes.
you love your French heritage and you kind of bring that into what you just like, really? But maybe
Yeah.
that's interesting. Or I think it's so cool that you lived abroad for 5 years and you went to another country where you didn't know it. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
Or I just love that you are a particular faith, because that's really
Uh-huh.
powerful to me.
Uh-huh.
If that's important in someone's life, then that can be a way that's like, oh, I'd love to work. There are people who are like, oh, I'd love to work with another person in branding who's also from my background or my faith. Like
Yes.
that's a
Yes.
differentiator if it's true for you and real for you, or that you don't you're an atheist and other people are like, oh, I love that. Like I really want to work with a expert in this area who's also shares my materialist scientific worldview. That sounds
Yeah.
really exciting to me. So I love that, but it's hard for us to see our own differentiators, I find. So do you help do that with people? You help pull their differentiators?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, that's part of what's helpful when somebody's working directly with you is that we usually can't see the label while we're inside the jar.
Right.
But I have the same, I ask people to do the same thing with the superpowers. So you could do
Yeah.
both, right? Because most
Yes.
people
Yes.
don't know their superpowers.
Right.
And I did that early on as I was, leaving corporate and what people told me was like, you're a badass marketer, you're such a good communicator, you're a
Mm,
great strategizer. I was like, okay, well, I'm really good at this, I guess. This is what I got to keep going on this path.
nice.
Um, so we got the three. And then our last one, but not least, is our passion.
Mm,
And so for me, what passion means is what gives me energy. And passion and purpose, I know sometimes there's a lot of conversations around, we're not always passionate, but we can be purposeful or whatever.
mm,
Um, to me, they're quite connected because the more passionate about something, the more I'm feeling more purposeful. So, what's giving me energy? What is making me feel purposeful?
mm.
That brings it all together and makes RachelBLee feel something to somebody
Yes.
else. And that's what's
Yes.
going to keep you going, honestly, when things are hard. That's going to keep the consistency in your message as you create new businesses, as you make transitions. It's that passion and purpose, that through line that is going to be really important and has to be a part of the personal brand development.
It does, because when we're lit up, I always say passion is contagious. So we have all these yucky things in our world that
Yeah.
are contagious, but passion is contagious. And we will be passionate about our purpose. Like our purpose is why we're here on the planet, in my mind. So then
Yeah.
we're going to be excited about it and like, oh my God, I get to do this. And it gives us the why. Like you said, it's the emotional connection to the brand. We want to know that someone is on, we call it leading a movement. It's not just a book, you're
Yeah.
leading a movement. It's not just your brand is your movement. Your book is part of your movement. And so I mean, passion to me is it's essential, right? Like you said, otherwise we're not going to stick with something. If it's a should,
Yes.
if we're over it, if we're burnt out, like we're not going to feel that. That's
Yes.
amazing.
And I think it's important that we say that brand is an evolving mission.
Yes.
I say this all the time, like who I was as a kid isn't actually that far different to where I am today. But I definitely have taken quite a few windy roads to come back to actually some of that creativity and person that Rachel was as a kid.
Yeah.
Maybe that's you today too.
Yeah.
So we can evolve, but there are some things about us, those skills, those differentiators, those passions that are there. And in fact, what I'm finding, especially inside the employed professional world, whether you work for a small, but you just work for somebody else, is that there's a big disconnect between our professional version and our personal version, which is why there's so much mental health, so many mental health challenges along with, the burnout and overworking and blah, blah, blah. But what I find is when we're so disconnected from that part of us, and it's not part of our professional life and career, it becomes debilitating. That's how it was for me. That's part of the reason why I left Gartner, why I
Mhm.
made the big leap to join forces with my husband. Yes, only a very small percentage of people would choose to do that because I was feeling so disconnected from my inner voice. I didn't feel authentic. I didn't feel like I could be the person that I was meant to be, the light worker, the change maker, the creator
Mm,
inside the walls of another company. And so I had to unleash that.
yeah.
And my hope is that my story, like you said, that's part of being a thought leader. It's
Yeah.
you're doing this to one person
one person you can move at a time through your expertise, your passion, your differentiation. That's what thought leadership is about to me.
Definitely. And Rachel, what would you say when we talk about company brand and personal brand in this time that we're recording this in 2025? And I have seen, I'm sure you have too, just an absolute, like it's now non-negotiable for even CEOs within companies, entrepreneurs to have only like a corporate brand or only a company. Like I see it as being non-negotiable that you're developing your personal brand as well. Do one of those four come to the forefront? Is it like when we're expressing our personal brand, is the passion even more important, or are they all equally, all those four things, are they equally important in building both brands?
Well, I think they're all important. We use those four pieces as like a method to get us to our personal brand value proposition. So a statement,
Yeah.
and then we can have this statement. So mine's something like, RachelBLee, the brand marketing lady boss who supports organizations and individuals and building their personal brands, thought leadership strategy, and content so they can, have influence and change the world. Like, right. So
Yes.
so you're using those four pieces to build this statement, which then, similar to brand identity work, we're then able to say, how do I go to market
Yeah.
with this main narrative and position? And so
Yeah.
then you go there and you create your content theme. So this is the foundation, just like you would do with a company or
Yep.
personal, brand. I think depending on where you're at, there are some things you're going to say and some things you're not.
Absolutely. And again, and it's all about appropriateness in industry and
And
situation. You know,
yes. And
r-
so I'm finding that, especially the people, because I do a lot with women in tech, I have executives of multi-billion-dollar companies as our clients, you know, they're not going to be as honest as us, Sarah, right? There's a cancel culture. There's a
yeah,
lot more responsibility we all have. And especially if you work for somebody else, I would say you'll always have to be careful because you are representing another company. And so you need to have the proper regulations, requirements that your company is requiring of. If you don't know it, ask about it. And then walk that line as far as you want to make sure that you feel authentic.
yeah. And it is really important to be in compliance, to be in integrity with whatever,
Yes.
when we're working in other companies. And also even just appropriateness in terms of like if you're an entrepreneur like we are, and you also have your personal, but also just is this the right, is this the right tone? And I always think it through the lens of who am I serving? Because I believe marketing is service. I think brand is service, like
Yes.
you said. What are you doing for people? What's the transformation? So, Rachel, we could have a whole nother, and maybe we will, episode on LinkedIn because that is like a whole nother lockbox of things. But you and Josh, in addition, obviously you help people on all the platforms in brand in general, from the big picture down, but you also have done tremendous work in the LinkedIn space because it is such an important place for whether you're in the corporate side, on executive side, whether you're in the entrepreneur space to really make meaningful connections, elevated, sort of connections with people. So if we just gave a teaser, because we'll put in the show notes where people can find out more, because you have like really some very specified work, even just building a brand on LinkedIn. So let's just like as we sort of lead people in, as we come to the conclusion of this part of our conversation, what is the number one mistake people are making on LinkedIn right now? Let's just do the mistake, and then what you teach people to do instead, and then we can say where to find out more, because there's a whole LinkedIn deserves its whole own training, which is why you have one, and you launch people on it, and you launch their brands on LinkedIn.
Yes. Um, you might hear dogs in the background.
It's we can't hear, but we welcome dogs on the rise. They're welcome
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Um, so LinkedIn, the number one mistake people are making is that they're not on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want
They're
everyone to hear that. Like,
treating it like a resume, and
right,
they think, oh, I haven't logged into entrepreneurs say this. Oh, I haven't been on there. I'm not looking for a job,
right.
and then their profile is just basic, doesn't have any information that is such a miss. I mean, I don't know how much time you want to keep going, but there's
Well,
a
I think we're gonna have to have a whole nother conversation with, with Rachel, everyone on LinkedIn. So write into us if you want that. I'm sure we will get a resounding yes. But so the biggest mistake is people aren't using it. Even if you have an account, you're not active, you're not posting, you're not contributing, you're not building a brand because you're really helping people build the brand from the ground up on LinkedIn. So here's the good news, all of you listening. If you haven't been using LinkedIn and you haven't been working on it, Rachel, you help a lot of people probably that are in that position that are just not
yeah.
either they're not on it or they don't aren't active on it. So is the first thing you think someone should think about like their profile so that it stands out back to brand? Is that, sort of the in books we say, people the attention span is 2.9 seconds. So people can process a book cover and decide, okay, it's you, you're an expert, you're on my topic, you're my person in 1.8 seconds. I'm assuming it's similar. We see someone's profile on LinkedIn, we probably have 1.8 seconds to, you know,
Yeah.
have them decide if they're someone they're going to read more about or follow. Is that really the most important piece to feel like that first impression of your brand?
Yeah, first piece when we're doing our training, when we're doing our brand launch pad, when we're working with our elite clients, the first thing we do is go through the personal brand narrative, what we talked about here.
Yes.
We
Those
get
four
that
things.
story straight. We get that story straight. And then we work on the LinkedIn profile overhaul, which is there's multiple pieces.
Yeah.
And you have to think about LinkedIn as it's a search algorithm. Not
Yeah.
only is LinkedIn 100% optimized for all SEO and now AEO, answer, right? This is the new direction,
Right.
answer engine optimization, which is AKA your ChatGPTs, your Claude.
Yes.
LinkedIn is one of the key websites and platforms it's pulling information from.
Yeah.
And
It's true.
LinkedIn, in and of itself, its algorithm first is looking at your profile. How much is it filled out head to toe? And so that's the cover image, that's the profile picture, the headline, very meticulous process we had for creating that headline. That's 220 characters. You can have CTAs on there, your about section, 2,600 characters to deliver who you are, why
Right.
you matter, and what you do. So we have a whole process to do that. Think about all those words. Every single thing on there is a keyword to help you get found. If somebody is listening today, I want you to go onto Google
Yeah.
and go search your name or go onto ChatGPT, go say, who is the top expert in X field, whatever your field is. If you go look at who is the top X LinkedIn expert, you should see Joshua B. Lee on there. I don't think RachelBLee, because I particularly don't use LinkedIn expert and everything.
Right.
I do more around the branding and
Right.
marketing. And so we are hitting these keywords so hard on our profile first,
Right.
then in our content. And when we
Yes.
do that, great. It doesn't just increase the overall visibility on LinkedIn, it's helping our visibility across everything.
This
So
is what I want
it's
everyone to
such a
get.
missed opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. So we've started macro. What is a brand?
Yeah.
What are the four components that Rachel and Josh lead people through? Whether you're developing company brand, personal brand, you need those four things. So you've got that brand story, that brand positioning. And then we want to get down and drill into something really practical. So we're picking LinkedIn because Rachel, you and Josh have done such excellent work there. And it's such an important platform. So then it's like, okay, what does that look like? And Rachel's giving you just the beginning of the nuance of this. Like that's how then you're picking, where do I take this 4 pillars of my brand and this thing? What am I
Yeah.
doing with it? Well, I'm picking a picture that can express that immediately. I'm picking that headline, that short description, these and the key words so that yeah, you're being picked up on Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, on
Mhm.
Google, on YouTube,
Yeah.
right? As they're pulling.
Yes.
So this is so exciting. Rachel, how can people find out more now that we understand more about brand and then how to apply it specifically to LinkedIn because it's such an important platform? Where should people go next to find you guys?
Well, obviously, go to LinkedIn.
That's right. Everyone except me, because I still have to get back on, but that's a whole nother.
We're still
Rachel's going to
figuring
help
that
me.
out.
You've
We're
all
still
heard my
figuring it out.
saga. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful.
But
And when I get
LinkedIn,
back on, I will use it. So what? Yeah. So
yes.
LinkedIn, perfect.
LinkedIn. So our company is standoutauthority.com. If you go to linkedin.com/in/the RachelBLee, the RachelBLee, if you go search that on Google, you're going to find me. Same thing on Instagram. Those are the three primary places that I'm going
Perfect.
to have fun. And we are launching our new company and podcast called the Humanize Your Brand podcast. And so that you're just going to continue to hear a lot more about what we're doing and creating. So more to
So
come on that
everyone,
too.
head over to the podcast, because we need more human connection, humanizing in the A. Rachel and I just talked on her podcast about, making sure we're not losing our creative intelligence, our human intelligence with the artificial intelligence. So humanize your brand and humanize your business. I mean, this is this is your movement, right? This is really the movement
Yes.
behind it. But go over, and I recommend, let's all go to LinkedIn if you're on it, or get on it if you can, and follow Rachel there. Let her know you watch The Rise, so that you can stay connected and understand how to make this practical in your life. Get those 4 coordinates started, but then get some support around like building it, because just as Rachel said, every character on these social platforms matters, whether it's the way we tag a thumbnail, a YouTube video, or title LinkedIn. So Rachel, you are the person to follow. You and Josh are going to take care of everybody. We'll have those links here in the episode. And so appreciate you, especially on a day with dogs, with children needing to go to the pediatrician, with everything going on, that you came here, shined your light, shared with us more, so we can be informed and empowered about what you and I are both helping people do, which is sharing our thought leadership in the world in the way that the world needs. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
I am beyond honored that you choose to spend your precious time here. And I'm guessing that, like me, you believe everyone deserves to rise. So to keep this content absolutely free to absolutely everyone, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to the show and share this episode with a friend. We'll be the rising tide that raises all ships. Thank you, thank you, thank you.